My name is Nader, and I am a distiller and the owner of the Muaddi Craft Distillery in Beit Jala on the outskirts of Bethlehem. I started experimenting with arak back in 2010, and I launched my distillery out of my house in 2017. Why arak? It's our national spirit of Palestine. It's something that I gravitated towards, perhaps due to nostalgia. I grew up around arak. It was always the drink that we had at celebrations. I have a lot of good memories tied to arak. And when I came to Palestine in 2007, I couldn't find arak on par with what I was used to drinking. And it was difficult to get, quality arak into the country just because we don't control our own borders. So I began wanting to learn how to make my own arak. So it was basically out of a hobby and a craving for connecting with this drink that I have a lot of sentimental memories around. It feels great. I mean, I had multiple cravings that this craft basically helped me satisfy, you can say. One was my passion for arak. The other was a passion to do something with my hands. And a passion of another one was to do something that would help out people in Palestine. I came here initially to do humanitarian work, and that's still what I do. But there's a lot of push factors for the farmers who I work with that are conducive of pushing them off of their land. So I thought maybe I can create some pull factors, by creating financial incentives for them to continue to cultivate their land despite all of the challenges that they face. And this, I think, helped at least those farmers who I'm working with. It's a very small business. I mean, it's not, scaled on this mass level, but at least those who I'm helping with, or working with, I think I'm helping them with making a meaningful difference. I feel very proud. It shows that Palestine can produce things, and Palestine can, not only produce products, but produce products made from Palestine entirely, from the land. I mean, this is at the end, it's an agribusiness, and it's a value-added product made from local produce, anise and grapes. I mean, those are the only two ingredients that go into it. So the fact that we can take, these raw ingredients and make something from scratch and take it global, I think that's great for Palestine. I mean, I think there's a lot of misconceptions around it, but that misconception, shouldn't exist because the word alcohol in its own the etymological root is an Arabic word. That's an Arabic word. It comes from eyeliner, al-kuhul, and it comes because that word was used because the modern alembic pot still was made in Baghdad in Iraq around the 9th century and was made to produce eyeliner. But people began using it to make other things, including arak, and that's where alcohol comes from. So, I mean, whether it's distilled spirits or wine, or distillation in its entirety. I mean, this region has strong roots in the production of alcohol. The first beers were made in Cairo in ancient Egypt. The first wines were made in Sumeria in ancient Iraq. But then you also have the land of Canaan, which has its own very rich history. I mean, it's a crossroads between these two ancient civilizations. And, grape cultivation, viticulture, has always been historically rooted here. And, we had our own wine deities who people would worship. So if you go back thousands of years, we've always had wine, beer, and then you come down to the medieval period, distillation. I mean, arak is the mother spirit of all distilled spirits, and it was made in the Middle East, in Baghdad, and quickly spread into Palestine, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon. So this area has a rich history, I would say even the richest when it comes to the production of alcohol. It feels great. I mean, I wanted to put my own mark on arak, and I found that doing these experimental batches is a way where I could perhaps do that. But at the same time, I tried to be true to what arak is, primarily anise and grape. But it feels great to create something or to add maybe like a new touch to this product that's been around forever, for like 1,000 years. I mean, I'm not the first person to make arak, and hopefully not the last, but at least I want to make a lasting impact on it. And, again, just having it sharing our culture with the world, letting people know about our own culinary heritage and what we can do with it. I think when it comes to cultural preservation, it's not just maintaining what we have, but also seeing where we can push the boundaries. Because if you want to keep culture alive, you have to keep innovating. And for me, that's also mentally stimulating and keeps me excited about the craft. I mean, for me, I'm probably, I mean, the way I see it now is I'm scaling down, you can say. I enjoy the craft of arak. I don't enjoy the business of arak. I don't ever see myself becoming like a massive producer. I'll still only make a few hundred bottles of, the standard arak that I produce. And I look forward to making more experimental batches. I have 3 barrels to your left, which are actually like a red grape arak made from Batuni grapes. And that's something that is new for me because I want to explore how I can, when we talk about arak, the terroir is in the anise, but I also want to try and express the terroir of the grapes. And in this one, I fermented the wine on the skins. I let it sit on the skins for a year, and I distilled it with the lees, with the dadis cells, trying to add some of that musty, grapey wine aroma into the arak. So just trying to do more things like that, seeing how I can create new expressions of arak. I mean, that's when you ask me about the 10 to 15 years forward. I can't even think 3 to 5 years forward, honestly. Like I'm telling you optimistically what I hope I can continue to do, but realistically, it might be a very different picture. Honestly, I mean, the grape is the second most cultivated fruit in Palestine after the olive tree. 85% of our grapes are grown west of Bethlehem, north of Hebron. Right now, you have a bill in the Knesset in Israel's parliament called the Greater Jerusalem Bill, and it talks about annexing 3 settlement blocks. They already annexed 1, remote in the northwest. You have Ma'ala Damim, which is taking shape in the east, and then Gush Etzion, which is the Bordeaux of Palestine. That's where all the grapes come from. And that area right now, the infrastructure is being laid out there. You have 6 Palestinian villages and you have more than 20 settlements. It's 10 square kilometers. It's a very fertile land. And this has been, for countless generations, the heartland of Palestinian viticulture. It's very realistic that we might lose access to that land in the coming years. And I'm talking about the very near future, again, like 3 to 5 years. And if that is the case, it would be disastrous for any agribusiness that relies upon grapes as their main ingredient. So for me and for even small producers who are making things like molasses, malban, wine, vinegar, they would all be impacted. And it wouldn't be really financially feasible to bring things in from the northern West Bank either in terms of cost. But already, I mean, this year was the worst harvest I've witnessed. Not only because there were natural reasons behind it that also impacted the olive harvest, which was the main drought. We didn't have a lot of rainfall this past winter of 2024. But again, the farmers who I work with, they've had a lot of difficulties in accessing their lands due to settler violence and access restrictions in the ground. And a lot of grapevines just went unharvested, and the fruit rotted on the vines just because they couldn't reach them. I'm very passionate about arak, and I've had a hope for a long time of trying to make many more people hopefully passionate about arak. I feel like I'm a steward. I'm the person who's, maintaining this thing at least while I'm available, and hopefully there will be many more people to pass the torch on to keep it alive. But I think that makes me excited. What disappoints me is the fact that arak doesn't get the recognition or the respect that it deserves. It is the mother spirit. It is the origin of all distilled spirits. Without arak, you wouldn't have whiskey, gin, vodka, tequila, and none of that would be around. Rum. And I think that any spirits enthusiast needs to pay tribute to arak, but I just don't think there's enough awareness out there yet. With shawarma, it would have to be chicken shawarma, but I would drink the standard arak with shawarma. I would say, I think for me, that would be number 1. That's what I eat most times when we do barbecue. Maybe the herbal arak, but I would have to have a few people around me with like an open mind who, are up to something new. The black arak, the oak aged, I like drinking it on its own without anything. And if I do want to, drink it with something, it would have to be something sweet, I would say. For sure. I mean, anything sweet, I think, goes with it. It in itself, to me, is like eating cake. The oak aged one, it's a unique sensory experience. Every time I nose it, I get a different aroma. Every time I taste it, I get a different flavor. Sometimes I get almonds, sometimes I get tobacco, sometimes I get coffee. And each one transports me somewhere. Like sometimes I get pipe tobacco, which reminds me of my father. So I mean, anytime I nose it, it always gives me something new, and it has a very strong vanilla aroma, and that like seamlessly mixes with the anise, which has like a sweetness, and that gives it like a dessert quality that I really enjoy. Yeah, I mean, I for me, it's I try not to let my ego get the best of me. I like to play with things and experiment. But at the same time, if I want to release things, I also need some sort of, verification or reassurance that, this is something that others might enjoy as well. If not, I mean, it's not that I would throw it away, but I would keep it in a barrel stashed away for myself. So when you came along and tried it and gave me that positive reinforcement, it meant the world. And I released it. And I think now I'm on my 5th batch of that now. So yeah, thank you. Whole percent, probably the herbal, I would say maybe. Yeah. I wouldn't, the black wouldn't go with food, but the herbal I think would go really good with that because when it comes to kharoof also, I think liya plays a role. And liya, it's very fatty. I think the alcohol cuts through the richness, makes things lighter. But then like the herbal notes, so say tatbila, like it gives it like, it's a way of like spicing the meat in a different way, I think would be interesting. Thank you for coming out and for, sharing our story.